Hey y'all, it's your girl Toyia T, and do we have an episode for you today? Today we're going to be speaking to Cincinnati's Mayor Aftab Pureval, and he's going to talk to our future generation about what is going on in Cincinnati. But we first have to thank our sponsors. We have CET, a PBS station, and Alpha Wolf Aerials as our platinum sponsors this month, and we truly appreciate it. If we can, go ahead and welcome in Mayor Aftab Pureval.
Hey, Toyia, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you again for joining us for this episode. We're so excited for you to hear from our Junior Charm School girls. They are a part of Relate Marketing's 501c3 here in the city. And this program was sponsored by Hamilton County this year to make sure that we're able to bring new experiences to our young people. So today we have the Junior Charm School girls here to ask you a few questions and get some insights from you.
I love it. Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity. Thanks so much for creating this platform for our students to have access and to learn from professionals like you. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us. And with that, we're going to jump right into our first question for one of our Junior Charm School girls, Priya. Let's see what she has to say.
Good evening, Mayor Aftab. What inspired you to get involved with the city government?
What a great question, Priya. Thanks so much for asking. You know, I never really, while I dreamed of having an impact in my community, I never really thought politics or public service was available to me. Because when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, there weren't a lot of people who looked like me in leadership, government, elected positions. And so while it was, a passion of mine, an interest of mine, a hobby, I never really thought that, frankly, a brown guy named Aftab could run and win in the state of Ohio. And so I was much more but I was much more focused on my legal career, on being a lawyer. And then, President Obama burst onto the scene. And he's a historic figure for our country as the first Black president. But what I really personally identified with President Obama is that he's our first president with an ethnic name. And he inspired me to believe that no matter where you're from or what your name is, if you are committed to serving your community and lifting up others, you too have an opportunity to serve. And so, at the end of his career in 2016, not his career, but at the end of his term as president, I felt inspired, but also the call to try and run for office in an area that I was particularly passionate about, our courthouse. I ran my first race as clerk of courts, and I chose that position, even though it's not the most high profile or the most well known. But I chose that position because I had both a passion for service, but also I had some subject matter expertise, having been a litigator for the past 8 years. And there was real reforms needed in that office. Because I did a relatively good job in that office, people were interested in me running for other things. And in 2021, a lot of people kind of call me the accidental mayor because running for mayor wasn't necessarily on my radar. But unfortunately, there were some bad things that happened at City Hall, and the people who were supposed to run for mayor ultimately decided that they couldn't run for mayor because of those bad things. And at a time when our city was really struggling because of the pandemic, struggling because of the economic downturn, struggling because of a lack of trust in City Hall based on those bad things that happened, I thought it was a huge opportunity to serve, but also a huge responsibility to make sure that the city was being well taken care of and providing, strong leadership at a moment of crisis. So decided to jump in. Wasn't sure that I was going to win, running against some really stiff competition in both the primary and the general, but was happily elected. And without question, this is the best job that I've ever had and probably will ever have. I'm just so fortunate and lucky to get to be mayor of Cincinnati, but specifically in this moment we have so much energy and optimism for the future.
Absolutely. Well, we're so happy that you chose to go down that path. I remember when I first met you, you were out campaigning and you had the campaign around Aflac, like
Yeah.
Aftab. So I'm
Yeah,
sure the kids that resonated with our young people so that they could say like, oh yeah, I can pronounce his name.
that's right.
So we're glad that you took up the opportunity. We're
Thank
going to
you.
go to our next question from Miss Chloe.
What do you enjoy the most about being the mayor?
Toyia, I had trouble hearing Miss Chloe. Can you repeat the question for me?
Miss Chloe said, what do you enjoy most about being the mayor?
Oh, there's so many amazing things about being the mayor. So many just fun and kind of once in a lifetime opportunities. But without quite, and when I'm being mayor is hard. There's no doubt. Gun violence, poverty, trauma is challenging to deal with, particularly almost on a daily basis. And the responsibility, the opportunity is also sometimes a burden, and it
Right.
can weigh on you. But when I'm feeling down or less energized, when I just kind of need a pick me up, I always love going to a CPS elementary school. And my favorite thing is to go in and just hang out with the kids, maybe read to them. Last time I was there, I was helping with a standardized test, showing off my I think 5th grade math skills. It's always a joy to be around kids, and it always just kind of fills your cup to see the future of our community, how vibrant and optimistic and beautiful and diverse our children are, and it recenters why the daily, oftentimes grind, is not just important for today or over the next 3 years, but is critically important over the next generation, because those are the most important things that we're fighting for our kids. So I just love opportunities to get into the schools and hang out with the kids and just listen to them about what they're dreaming about or what they're worried about, and trying to give them a sense of government that isn't boring or inaccessible, but that is what it truly is, which is just normal, everyday people trying to make a difference. And I love doing that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure they can identify with you. I saw a bunch of your staff down at SCPA on their first day, just shaking hands and welcoming them in. And
Yeah.
it was really energizing. I actually stayed to just watch because it was so fun.
Yeah, the first day of school is always exciting.
It really is. And the next question is from Aubrey.
What is one thing you wish people knew about Cincinnati?
Man, that's a tough question. What's the one thing I wish people knew about Cincinnati? What I find is that it's both a challenge, but also a blessing, is that when people think about, people don't really think about Cincinnati. we don't have a national brand. I mean, obviously, look, no disrespect to the Bengals and the Reds, Cincinnati. What I'm really focused on is trying to establish our brand nationally and internationally. And when I think about what is the one thing that sets us apart from other cities, there's so many things that set us apart. But what I often come back to is our history of our commitment to racial equity. And don't get me wrong, we have made massive mistakes. There has been systemic racism that has existed in Cincinnati from the beginning. But the truth is, in addition to that, Cincinnati was the front door to freedom along the Underground Railroad. We are an important location for Harriet Beecher Stowe. we have absolutely made mistakes in the past as it relates to displacement and redlining and so many other systemic racism, but we are eyes wide open about it. And from those racist past decisions, we are trying to use resources now in order to overcome those intentionally placed hurdles and build a brighter and more equitable Cincinnati. And that commitment, that clear-eyed acceptance of the terrible decisions of the past with the urgent commitment to make investments to atone and build for legacy communities, I think is not just rhetoric, but it's real. And it's felt by all of our city and county-wide elected officials. And so, people talk about racial equity. They talk about, trying to prioritize DE&I. Cincinnati and Hamilton County are putting that into action by putting real significant dollars behind so many programs and so many different types of reforms to really build that future that we all believe in, where no matter what zip code you're born into in this city, you have the same economic, health, and educational opportunities as everybody else. Now, we're a ways away from that, but that real commitment all the way from the original founding of the city until now is a consistent thread. It's on our generation to take that to the next level and make that more of a reality for more people. And so I'm really proud of the fact that Cincinnati is a 44% Black city. That so much of our vibrancy and economic tourism is because of Black artists and Black creatives. We were joking before we started the show, but I was just at the Cincinnati Art Museum with Art After Dark. Black Owned did a fashion show. Black Owned is one of our local Black owned businesses that not only does fashion, but does design, does marketing, has a coffee shop. And to see, the beautiful designs on beautiful, young, diverse people in a beautiful historic space like the Cincinnati Art Museum, that is a snapshot of what Cincinnati is today and what it will continue to be in the future. And I'm just so proud of that.
Absolutely. I saw some of the images on social of the fashion show. Such an iconic, just moment in Cincinnati that I would be very proud of as the mayor. You did mention some resources that are available to try to close some of those gaps. Our show is all about providing resources and opportunities. Where can they find some of those things that might be available in the city?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different organizations, so it depends on the need. But what I'm really proud of is our commitment to what's called the Lincoln and Gilbert Fund. So we find that Black entrepreneurs or Black small business owners, one of the biggest challenges for opening their business or growing their business to scale is access to capital. And so I think over the past 2 years, the city has provided $2.5 million to the Lincoln and Gilbert Fund for the African American Chamber to provide, and the Urban League to provide grants to Black small business owners. And that's a significant amount of money going directly into the hands of minority businesses. We just announced, debt is such a barrier to generational wealth, which is what we're trying to create, particularly for our Black and brown communities. And so we just announced that the city is spending $1.5 million to wipe out medical debt for 34,000 Cincinnati residents. Because we know that that debt is just a huge obstacle in order to actually build up your savings account. If you have kids, build up your 529 accounts in order to send them to college. And so we're doing everything we can to wipe out these obstacles and to get cash into the hands of people who need it the most. And we'll continue to look for innovative solutions to do that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you have a listing of different things on the website as well that people can go to.
Yeah. The city's website is a great resource for all of the various programs and funds that we have available to entrepreneurs, but also to nonprofits who are focused on gun violence or poverty or food deserts, et cetera.
Absolutely. So great resources available, folks. Next question we have from Miss Estrella.
Mayor, what do you do to make a city more fun?
That actually is Autumn. So that's Autumn. I don't want Autumn to get on me. She'll be like, I'm not Estrella. So that question is from Autumn. She says, what do you do to make the city more fun?
That's a great question. We try to support as many events as we can, both big events and also small events. The city is a huge partner, financial and logistical partner, in order to bring Blink, the largest digital projection public art festival in the country, back to Cincinnati. It's coming back this year. This is a totally free event. You just walk around the urban core and you see all of our murals brought to life with digital animation and graphics. It's just one of the jewels in the crown of the Queen City. We try to create infrastructure and opportunities to bring acts like Taylor Swift, or Beyonce and Jay-Z came a few years ago for their On the Run tour. Obviously we support our professional sports teams, the Bengals, the Reds, and FC Cincinnati. But we also provide support for smaller organizations and smaller events that are looking to expand. We've been talking with Black Family Reunion about supporting their efforts. We have supported the Juneteenth parade in the past, and so we are primarily, obviously, focused on supporting organizations and programs that are dealing with systemic challenges. But providing entertainment and opportunities for community building is also part of our mission. And so we try to support through direct grants, but also through, just permitting and police resources where we can. But it is very important to me to make sure that people of all ages have opportunities to have a good time, whether it's from our rec centers or our public pools, our incredible park system. We take great pride in the fact that we're trying to create a city where people aren't just working and living, but having a good time as well.
Yes, and I've driven past you on the little red bike out on 7th Street a couple of times. I'm like, look at him just out here riding around.
I'm trying to stay active. I'm oftentimes behind the desk all day, so anytime I can build up a little sweat. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing a good job of making the city more fun. And Blink is obviously one of the most notable events in Cincinnati. I had the pleasure of working with the Cincinnati Chamber really closely with Blink. So always good to see that coming around. Next question up is from Miss Estrella.
What is it like being a mayor?
Sorry, Toyia, I'm leaning into the camera so I can hear the kid. What's it like being mayor? It is. I may have answered this a little bit earlier in the conversation, but it's just a joy. I mean, if I could choose one word, it would be joy. It's you just get one of the coolest things about being mayor is just access, and what I mean by that is, if you pick up the phone and call someone, that they're likely to call you back, or they're likely to agree to meet with you. But also, people are so creative and energetic and passionate, and they can't wait to tell you what they're working on when they meet you, like even just in the street. And so the coolest thing about being mayor is having access to all of these people who are trying to change